we get back, we have Pastor Charles Dowell, a popular YouTuber that's going to be joining us to break this down and much more on Fabian4Liberty. Quick break. We'll be back in a second. We're back. It's the Fabian4Liberty program. I'm Fabian4Liberty. Fabian4Liberty.com is the website to check out. Joining us now is a popular YouTuber, Pastor Charles Dowell. He runs the Straightway Truth Church. Pastor Dowell, Charles, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. And yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on the program. I've been a fan of yours, watching your videos for some time now. Charles, and I was talking about this, I want to get into a lot of things, talking about the economy, talk about this election that just took place, but with respect to Petraeus resigning and these events in Libya, which clearly it's a massive cover-up, what's your thoughts on that? What do you really think's going on? Break it down.
Well, concerning General Petraeus, it's amazing. I think what it is, it's another one of these drive-bys that they do whenever they get rid of someone who they have no more use for whatsoever at all. And, of course, they want to character assassinate the man. And so how do you character assassinate a man that seems to have some type of quality and traits and seems to be an impeccable man of character, and his life has been impeccable in itself? So what they do, well, they raise up the woman that is allegedly, and notice I do say allegedly, supposed to be his girlfriend. And I think it's just another one of these CIA drive-bys that they do with him, because this extramarital affair is designed to discredit his life and his character, and is there to character assassinate him. I think the chances of the whole entire thing, it smells bad to me. I think she was paid off. But, hey, look at Americans. Americans, they would believe just about anything that is put there in front of that TV. They say that he was dropping information and dropping the ball left and right and stuff, and who knows if he was not trying to actually reach the American people some way, somehow. I'm just very pessimistic concerning anything that the news media put out, because I know how that they spin everything. So, I think it's just another one of these CIA drive-bys to discredit the man, to make sure that nobody else listens to him whatsoever at all.
All right, so, Charles, let's talk about, and I agree, I think definitely they're doing a hit job on this guy. That's why when he was even asked to join the Obama administration, I mean, if you remember back in the Iraq war, they were calling him General Petraeus. They've never liked them, or at least the people that are running this government now never did, and the whole thing really smells. But I've been watching your videos for some time. For those of you that, for those in my audience that aren't familiar with your work, don't know about you, why don't you quickly tell them who you are, what you stand for, and what was your awakening moment that made you, hey, I want to start getting my own truth out there?
Well, my name is Charles Dowell. I'm a pastor here at the Straightway Israelite Heritage of Straightway. I'm a 10-year Army veteran, a U.S. paratrooper. I've been in quite a few elite units. My stench being in the military. I'm a war veteran. I've seen a little heat here and there and done a few things. My awakening started actually when I actually met Jesus Christ. I actually was in a church one night, and I got filled with the Holy Spirit, and that started my awakening process. And what has given me the insight and the foresight to be able to see around the corners is actually the Holy Bible in itself. Now, from that Holy Bible in itself, I also know that, the Bible is a history book. And so if I'm going to find out exactly what's going on in the time that we're living in today, now I must become a student of history. So also I've learned how to become a student of history. And I've noticed, and of course you've heard me say it once, I said it 1,000 times, that, the people who do not know history are destined to repeat the same mistakes of the past. And I am watching us repeat the same mistakes of the past again and again and again, especially on the economic front. The social front, the economic front, the religious front, it makes no difference what front it is. We are actually falling in the same steps as empires who have risen to the top and have fallen again. My job is to get the truth out to everybody that I can to help them prepare for this upcoming economic collapse, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And to help people to get ready, and that's my main job right now, and to lead as many as I can out of under, the falsehoods of religion, as well as the falsehoods of the system that we all find ourselves entrenched in.
Charles, I did a video last week where I was talking about how the idea that when our founders created this republic, understanding our rights come from God, they don't come from a government, they don't come from a president. And it's amazing to me how many people respond to me, just so out of touch with just the very foundings of the republic. And I always tell people, I don't care if you worship a cat, if you worship Buddha. I believe in Jesus Christ. He's my Savior. You don't have to believe that. It's up to you. But the fact is the fact. The country was, built on Judeo-Christian principles, and it is what secured America's greatness. And we've turned so far away from those. I mean, do you buy into part of the experience America's facing now, Charles, is basically really God's wrath that's coming back to get us?
I believe that 100%, because you cannot have a society that will not define what morality is, that is becoming spiritually bankrupt and just actually throwing away the actual constitution of God itself, which is the commandments in itself. When you look at our society, again, we are following in the exact same footsteps as all other empires that have went on before us. And when you can no longer have morality and define exactly what morality is, we're heading down the toboggan slide right off into hell, just like we should, because there's very few people that actually want to stand up for freedom, truth, liberty, and righteousness. And that's why I commend people like yourself, a few other people who are doing whatever we can to try to help wake up as many people as we can, even though we know it's only going to be a few people.
Yeah, when I see the directions that this government's taking, and I don't know your thoughts on how much power you think Obama has, I believe he's definitely run, just like Romney would have been run, by these big mega banks that sit at the board of the Federal Reserve. But when I see, not a day goes by now that there is not a full-fledged assault on our constitutional liberties, whether it's the National Defense Authorization Act, whether it's the TSA expanding, the unconstitutional wars, whatever they may be, what's the biggest concern for you now? Is it the police state? Is it the economic collapse and what will become of Americans? If we're faced with $10 gas and high inflation, what concerns you and keeps you up at night?
What concerns me more than anything is the lack of respect for the Constitution, that document that was written by the forefathers a long time ago, that nobody seems to be honoring it right now. I mean, after all, our biggest danger is the erosion of our civil liberties, because, see, civil liberties is what is supposed to be in place when I go outside of my gate. I have my own particular freedom and liberty on my own land, but, however, I need a structure of society to be in place so that when I go outside of this gate, I don't have to worry about nobody jacking me or my family or anybody that I love. And as long as we continue to keep going down this way, I mean, we have left from being a constitutional republic to a fascist, communist state, and that's exactly what we are. As long as we have politicians entrenched in place, and this happened a long time ago. This erosion just did not start 10 years ago. This thing has been in place for quite some time. We've had people who have literally just bought and sold, and then literally have traded their soul, all for a little bit of money, a little bit of notoriety right now, all at the expense of us, the people. And we're watching what's going on over there in Greece. Over in Greece right now is getting ready to take place with us here in this country. And I tell you, what keeps me up more than anything is that the people are so uninformed that they do not understand exactly what's going on. They don't understand what civil unrest is going to bring about, what it's going to look like. They don't understand austerity measures and the effects when these cuts start to take place in their own backyard. They don't understand that they can't trust their neighbor because they have not spent time developing relationships and mutual assistance groups. So I personally don't have too much confidence in America in itself and the people in itself actually coming to the point where they're going to wake up to see what's going on. I mean, after all, you look at all the rest of these countries in the world that are now protesting all over the place because of the injustices that are going on in their societies by these talking heads that they call politicians. And then you look at the dormant and the docile and the demoralized spirit of the American people. Look how the Occupy Wall Street movement is just fizzled out, all but just dead. And you can see that the plea and the cry of the people of hopelessness is there. It's going to take somebody to rise up. It's going to take a group of people to rise up. People hate the word revolution, but the truth is there's never, ever been any freedom, and there's never been any liberty, whether it be biblical or naturally in a secular world, without bloodshed. And I know people hate hearing that, but the bottom line is we've got to look at this thing for what it really, truly is. We have got to start considering what it's going to cost and what it's going to take for us in order to obtain not only the little liberties and freedoms that we have now for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children.
Yeah, you know, our guest now is Pastor Charles Dowell. Just he's subscribed to his YouTube channel, which is fantastic. I've subscribed to it as well. Pastor Dowell, Straightway Truth. Now, Charles, you know, I'm technically considered Hispanic. My parents are Cuban immigrants, and so I see in this last election, 70% of Hispanics vote for Obama. You're a black man, 95% voted for Obama. It seems to me the way they're getting that vote is by hooking them on more and more dependence. At least that's what I see with the Hispanic community, with the black community. How is your message received when you speak to people that are just across the spectrum, but when you speak to people and they're so blinded by Obama and think that he's the salvation?
We've gotten to the point now, Fabian, that people have literally just closed their eyes and they have shut up their ears, and they've even got to the point where they have become non-responsive when you start to speak to them about the reality of these truths. You know just as well as I do that Obama, or even if they put Romney in office, it really makes no difference. You put trash in the trash can, you shake it up and turn it upside down, and you still get trash coming out. Now, what people are, the reason why they have the powers that be, here's the reason why that they have Obama in office, because they know that the American people, now I just got finished saying that I don't have a lick of confidence, but you start taking away their entitlements, you start taking away their Social Security, you start taking away their retirement accounts and start cutting spending on this Medicare and Medicaid and stuff, you're going to see a riot take place here in this country, because then and only then the people are going to start to see what's taking place. The powers that be, what they want to do is they want to continually to keep the people divided. They don't care if you're divided socially. They don't care if you're divided racially. They don't care if you're divided. All that they want is to keep the people divided. So it's going to be a thing pitted against the rich and the poor, but they want to eliminate the middle class, but it really makes no difference if they had Obama in there or Romney in there. The whole bottom line is that do not get the people to all think alike. Do not keep them all on the same page and keep them dependent upon us, the system. That way we can continue to keep perpetuating our collapse and our fall of this country.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have purposely taken the power out of the hands of the individual by telling them they can't do it, they're not good enough, they can't succeed without government, when you and I both know it's the individual, your own merit, the content of your character that advances you, not what special interest you're a part of, not what, group or bailout money you're getting. And it's just amazing how upside down we are. And you're right. I think it's almost like people are in a dumbed down stupor, coma, like a sleep state they're walking around in.
Well, what's happened is they think about it. You look at our country now. I mean, they literally have turned us into drug addicts, legalized drug addicts. And we cannot function without these drugs now. So the message that I have that brings, people together into unity and stuff is I'm trying my best to teach people how not to be dependent upon a system that want you to be dependent. That's the reason why I push self-sufficiency. And we've got to come out of these population centers. People can't continue to keep doing the same things that they've always done and expect change. People are going to have to wake up. They're going to have to smell the coffee and start making their own way. I often ask people over and over again in private conversations, do you care about the next person? Because you're going to need that person standing next to you in order to wave this tidal wave that is coming on this country.
Yeah, there is no doubt. We're going to be going to a break here in just a few seconds. When we get back, I want to talk to you as a former military man. I want to talk to you about the police state and growing concerns. You see all these military exercises, urban warfare drills that are taking place. You see what happened in Katrina. Whether or not the U.S. military, they'll turn their arms on the American people. That's a question I'm sure a lot of people want to hear your answer to. It's Fabian4Liberty. We're talking with Pastor Charles Dowell. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Warning. 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 American Freedom Radio is habit forming. American Freedom Radio is habit forming. Use the truth carefully.
Truth Brigade Radio, live Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Only on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. The truth has just gotten hotter.
All right, we're back. It's the Fabian4Liberty program. I'm Fabian4Liberty. We are speaking with Pastor Charles Dowell. You can check out his YouTube channel, Straightway Truth. It's great commentary. So going into the break, Charles, we were talking about the urban warfare drills. You see this military is definitely preparing for something. I mean, in my lifetime, I've never seen tanks rolling down the street preparing for, I don't know what they're preparing for. I mean, you're a former military man. Your thoughts on that and your thoughts on, I mean, the likelihood that U.S. troops would turn their guns on U.S. citizens. I mean, you think they'll do that?
Well, I tell you just from my own experience of being in there, I can tell you right now that if we're dealing with people, 90% of the military, even though they make an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and they can't quote the first two amendments, I say the probability is highly likely that 90% of the people in the military will turn and they will fire upon American people. And the reason why they'll do that is because the government is the only one that is holding all the jobs right now. They are the ones that's paying these soldiers to go out here and to do a job, and their families are eating, and the people in this country's family soon are not going to be eating. You see, you're dealing with a situation here where the people in the military, they are trained, not educated. They have been trained to follow orders. And now, don't get me wrong, you will have a few people whose eyes are wide open and who understands the Bill of Rights and the amendments of the Constitution and its whole self. But as for the majority of the people, when it comes to either you or my family eating or your family eating, you better believe that the majority of them will turn and they will shoot. All we have to do, we have the answer right in front of us. Look what's happening right now in our police state, when we supposed to be out in front of our government to protest him for redress and grievance, and we're sitting and watching people getting maced. We're sitting watching women getting beat. We're sitting watching them getting their shirts and pants drug off of them and just literally assaulted half to death into what? To go to a court system the way they think they're going to get any justice when everything that happens in the case is going to be gutted and always in favor of the people who actually work for the system itself? No. That's the reason why that the Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the free state. The right of the people to keep and to bear arms shall not be infringed. I hate to say it, but, the people are going to be forced to defend themselves. Now, can we win this war? Absolutely not, because we don't have any conventional warfare. So we can only hope that we have some divine intervention, and we can only hope that a lot of people begin to get this message, because the one thing about America that is different than other countries is that we still have our guns.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But you see them. You know, what's interesting, Charles, is you see them. I'm looking at this story from CBS in Pittsburgh, upside-down flag protest over election sparking controversy. And you see how the media is more and more people that are, this is a Vietnam veteran who's flying his flag upside down in protest of Obama being reelected. How you just see them dividing the people. And, you know, America used to be, you know, people, they disagreed with each other over politics, or they didn't like, but now it's, you can no longer disagree. Now you hate each other's guts. It's like if you're a, you know, if you believe, if people buy into this two-party paradigm where they think it's actually either one of these parties are looking out for their best interests, which clearly they're not, but the people that do buy into it, they're literally, you know, fighting over whether it's Romney or Obama, not knowing both of them represent the global elites, both of them represent the New World Order. I mean, they're pushing the agenda. It's just so obvious.
You know, Fabian, we have been dumbed down to an unprecedented level. I mean, they have given us entertainment just like they have with ancient Rome. They keep us full of that entertainment and stuff, because what it does, it gets the people's minds off of the real issues. The media is there for a total blackout. We all know that they're controlled by the powers that be, and it's not their job to assimilate or disseminate out the information to the people that's going to actually help these people prepare or to actually condition their minds to be able to make moves in order to preserve themselves. But it's actually there to keep them in this demoralized and this dumb state and this stupor that they're in, so that they will not be able to function. And that's the reason why they keep pushing all these different drugs and vaccines and everything. So I often tell people over and over and over again, I tell everybody I meet, stop watching the American news media and go to alternative news media sources. I can't tell you how many people to your channel. I watch your channel and your video uploads all the time to stay abreast, because sometimes in my ministry trips I can't keep up with the current events or the events that's going on in the world. But I tell people all the time to stay away from the mainstream news media and get to alternatives, independent news sources.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they have the internet kill switch and why they want to take down the internet eventually, because this is where real truth. It's the modern day printing press, just like our founding fathers used pamphlets and the pamphleteers. Now it's online where people share the information. Now, we got about 6 minutes left, Charles. I want to ask you regarding this is a theory that I talk about all the time, which basically, you know, I think all these events are connected on some level, and they all center around the economy, specifically around the U.S. dollar, and it going basically by the wayside. I mean, we will lose the world reserve currency, but for that to take place, there needs to be some kind of global war, global event. I want to ask you, what's the event that do you think it's another 9/11? Do you think it's war with Iran? And I'm not saying you necessarily have to believe that it centers around the dollar collapsing and war will be brought up. But what's going to come from this? Clearly, the government's preparing for something. Like we talked about the urban warfare drills, the military is getting ready. You have all the war gaming taking place in the Middle East, the destabilization campaigns in the Middle East. What do you think is the big event to look out for?
I think the big event is always war. I think it's always war because you can see it right now. The writing is always on the wall. It's been on the wall for some time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we're going to end up going to war with Iran. I mean, you sit over there and watch President Bashar Assad of Syria, and you listen to what he has to say and watch the opposition of the West and all of its allies against him, and then you watch Iran, who backs up Syria, as well as Russia and China. They're setting this thing up. They're setting this thing up because you make a lot of money. Countries make a lot of money in war. And my advice to people is start taking your dollars, everything. If you can take worthless fiat currency and you can trade it in for some serious tangible assets, i.e. like gold or silver commodities, and stay away from paper, you'll be doing fine. But I think that what they're going to do is they're going to actually escalate war because they make a lot of money out of war. It's very important for us to communicate and continue to keep communication lines open between ourselves, because if we can at least get this information out to the people's minds before all of it takes place, before it happens, hey, at least the people would be able to have some type of mutual assistance group between themselves to where they can actually prepare themselves for what's coming. But I can tell you right now that with this QE into affinity and all this debt that's going on, there's nothing good that's going to come out of it with us over here. Now, our government, you know, they're big on false flags, or setting up what we call a false flag. They have to create another event in order to get the American people on their side again, which I hope they don't fall for it, in order to conscript more people to volunteer to join into the military in order to fight this next battle coming up. Because what we're staring at right now, and the amount of debt that we're in, hey, the Soviet Union, hey, they was over there in an 80-year depression. I'm looking at a 100-year depression, bare minimum, considering our financial condition where we at in this world. But I think it's going to be war.
Yeah, well, they're gearing up for it. I mean, it's pretty obvious, and I do believe that they will use some kind of event to rally the people. I mean, I always think that Americans are waking up, but then I see the result of this election and how much voter fraud was involved. You know, it's hard to exactly find out, but the American people still clearly buy into the two-party system. Even though you had billions of people, Republicans, not vote for Romney, and Obama had less votes than he did in 2008, people still buy into this narrative, and that's unfortunate. I think all of us need to continue to spread the truth and spread the word out there. Pastor Charles Dowell, how do people get a hold of you if they want to talk with you, if they want to know more about you? How can they find that information out?
I have a website called straightwaytruth.com, and it's spelled StraightwayTruth.com, as well as I have a social media network set up with JSNIP4 called freespeak.net, freespeak.net. It is something like Facebook, but it's not government run or government regulated. It's ran completely and totally by myself and JSNIP4, as well as online-church.org, and, of course, my YouTube page, which is Pastor Dowell.
Charles, I appreciate you coming on the program, and I look forward to having you again in the future.
Thank you for having me. God bless and have a good evening.
Thanks. That was Pastor Charles Dowell. I recommend, if you haven't heard of him, you check out his YouTube channel. It is it's very good. And it's just another warrior in this fight of truth, of information. And we need, like I tell people all the time, people ask me, what can I do? I tell them, you go out and you become a pamphleteer. You do YouTube videos. You get the message out. Quick break. When we get back, we'll take your calls. Also talking about fluoride in the water supply, a big shakeup with that in local elections here where I live. What's that spell for the rest of the country? I'm Fabian4Liberty. We'll be back in a few minutes.